Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us at this forum, which deals with the upcoming budgetary cuts at the University of Montana. I am very pleased and privileged to have several of my colleagues with me, and they will go according to the agreement that we have had in terms of who needs to leave first because they have other responsibilities, classes to teach. So with no further ado, we will start with Professor Ruth Vanita from Liberal Studies Program. Ruth, please.
Hi, I was asked to talk about what budget cuts would do to my department. I teach in a very small program that carries an out of proportion load in terms of the general education that we teach. We have only 5 tenured faculty, 1 contract lecturer, and 1 part-time adjunct. Every professor in our department teaches lower division courses every single year. We teach service courses that fulfill the gen ed requirement, the literature requirement, and we introduce students from all majors to the great books of Western civilization, this is the only course of its kind on campus. So we have a number of interdisciplinary courses as well. And we were already cut to the bone this spring. We have a tiny budget. For instance, I taught a GLI course, but all the money went towards the cuts and not to replacing my courses. A couple of professors lost their already very meager research travel money. And actually, as a unit, we are extremely productive in terms of research publications in proportion to our size. A couple of professors, including the chair, lost their office telephones. So now when we apply for fellowships or something, what is your office phone? We have no office phone. And there's really nothing further to cut, except classes now. If further cuts come down, there's nothing to cut. So in terms of suggestions for what we could cut, I think that administrators and their staff should be cut down in proportion to the loss of student enrollment. For example, just to give 2 examples, there's a position just advertised for communications assistant, parenthesis, media information specialist, in the office of the Vice President for Integrated Communications. Now, several professors pored over the description for this position, and we couldn't make any sense of it. Whoever wrote the description needs to take a writing class. And my question is, how many staff members are there already in this Office of Integrated Communication? Can't they manage the work? Do we really need another person? That's one. Another position now being advertised is for Associate Provost for Dynamic Learning. Now, this position was introduced in Provost Muir's time, so it means like within the last decade. So before that, we did without this, and now we are down 1,000 students, so we should be able to do without it again. So those are just some of my suggestions, but I think a faculty group should be made to look into where cuts can be made in the administration. Just as administrators tell us what we have to cut, we should have a faculty group to look into where cuts can be made in the administration. So that's what I think. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Ruth. Next person will be Professor Hayden Outsland from Modern and Classical Languages and Literature. Hayden, please.
Thank you, I'd like to try to say something about the source of the difficulty. I think the source of the difficulty is the decision of what's to be made a priority. And it's very hard to address this because it's very hard to get clear answers about what the priorities are. I'd like to be able to say, in the spirit of our president, that this can be fixed and we're the ones we've been waiting for. But at times I think that maybe Walt Kelly's Pogo has a better point when he says we've met the enemy and it's us. I think every time we succumb to a temptation to take some pet project and call it general education, or to take a handout from the administration to do something supposedly interdisciplinary that in fact may just be incoherent, passing it off as something that's going to help leadership in the future in some way, as if we're working for the management of some sort of company. Every time that happens, I think we've assisted in this process. In my view, the only hope for liberal education, and this is what we're really trying to preserve here, is the maintenance of some strong disciplines. And we need to be aware that it is precisely the destruction of the disciplines that is going on here, and furthermore, that it's going on deliberately. So I think we need to take another look at choices we can make within this confusing array of initiatives, institutes, centers, and all the rest that might still conduce to preserving strong disciplines. I think that really is the only hope. And from the standpoint of funding, we could well say, well, the legislature is constantly reducing what we have. The cost of education is going up. We need to ask the legislature for more money. And I would just remind you that the cost of education is merely a figure arrived at after you take whatever administrators want to spend money on and divide it by the number of students. It's not really the cost of education. If we decide to spend money on a building, that becomes part of the cost of education. If we decide to spend money on advertising, that becomes part of the cost of education. In lieu of any real system of accountability for the expenditure of these funds, I'm not sure there's any point in asking the legislature to allocate more. I think we need to focus on the way in which choices are made on the basis of priorities and the way in which those priorities are formed as a basis for those choices.
If you can pass the microphone.
Yeah.
Down here, please.
Oh.
Our next speaker is Professor Casey Charles, Department of English. Casey, please.
Hello, thanks for coming. I think it's indicative of the department that I wanted to print out my remarks, but the printer was broken. So I kind of have to remember them a little bit, but I think that might be okay. I speak from maybe a lot less experience than some of you that I see out there, but 20 years at the university, 3 years as chair, 7 years on the executive board of the union, 2 years on faculty senate. So, and ever since I've been here, we've always been in kind of an economics of scarcity, which is really demoralizing for the faculty to always kind of, wondering whether or not their classes are going to be cut, or whether they'll have any travel money, or whether they'll have enough TAs, and so we're just kind of, it just seems like it's just constant that we're facing these scarcity issues. And as I've argued in other places, that and I think maybe Hayden talked about this, but the predominant vision of the university has followed a model of economic determinism that is, I think, deeply troubling and doesn't take into account other ways of thinking about value and sustainability. And by that, I mean we need to think about focus on what we really think is valuable about the university in ways that changes our models for resource allocation. And I don't have a lot to say about all of that, other than, and I don't have, I understand the politics of funding for the university, and I think, it's endemic to Montana that we're not going to have enough money, in part because of the anti-intellectualism that's part of our state, and so it's not going to change. But I think what we can do is re-envision how we spend our money and what we want to spend our money on. And I think it's really important to have faculty input on that, other than just the faculty senate or the union. And that's, I think, what's great about this meeting, is that people are already thinking other ways that we can influence how we spend our money, how we allocate the resources that we have. And it seems to me that we need to find a set of ideas that are central to our understanding of resource allocation, and those should really be around academic excellence, about producing excellence in academics first and foremost. And what that means, of course, funding for research, and keeping class sizes small, having a lot of emphasis on teaching excellence, doing the things that really what a group like this might consider to be most important to the university as a whole, rather than thinking about the broader ways of maintaining the university through the important part of administration and recruiting. It seems that rather than billboards in Belgrade, we really need to make a product that's really great, that people will, if they get a good education, if you build it, they will come. That's kind of I've talked to the provost about this, rather than doing marketing and recruiting and trying to get out-of-state students on this treadmill, if we produce, and we're doing it already, but if we really emphasize creating good scholars, doing good research, that's going to be the kind of excellence that will make our university even better. And that's kind of my shtick about this problem. I don't know what value it is, but I wanted to be able to share it with you, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Next speaker is Professor Gigi Whites from Department of Anthropology. Gigi, please.
I'll make this brief. I teach in a unit as one of two of the largest social science units that has a doctoral program since 2005, and I mentor 4 doctoral students. But I also teach 3 undergraduate courses, a total of 117 students this fall, and I will be teaching upwards to 250 in the spring. 2 of my doctoral students are teaching for free in the freshman seminars because there is no money to pay them. They're very dedicated. And the overload courses I teach, I also am not paid extra compensation for. So there is a great deal of dedication to provide the curriculum for these freshmen that we have recruited so diligently last spring. And it seems the utmost folly to cut courses and curriculum next spring when we've already brought these students here. We should be investing in the curriculum to deliver to them, not cutting their courses. So that's just something I have to say about the foolishness of the administrative letter we received saying that $3 million worth of cuts is going to be imposed on academics next spring. I would, like Ruth, advocate for a careful look at what administrative posts we no longer need, what administrative hires we no longer need to make. I've never heard an undergraduate or a graduate student tell me, gee, I wish we had more administrators in Main Hall. I just need a few more faces in the provost's office to help me graduate. That's not what these students need. That's not even what the graduate and research faculty here need. The other thing I'll say about the dedication of the people on this table, all of these people are teaching in lower division and upper division in graduate studies. And for faculty, we have about 500 tenure-line faculty. It is our responsibility to be in the classroom as well as the lab, as well as the library doing research. We have people here who give such an excellent education for these students. The Global Leadership Initiative has nothing on the faculty sitting at this table who are teaching all of their classes without any extra compensation. So I would really like to see that recognized. The faculty who are already here need to be supported. The last thing I'll say about anthropology is that we have one open line in forensic anthropology that we are not allowed to search for. It's been open for 2 years. And we're not alone. The College of Arts and Sciences has more than 10 sections, 10 academic units with open lines that we're not allowed to search. This is a silent retrenchment of these departments. Every time we have a retirement or a resignation and we are not allowed to search, there is another gaping hole in our curriculum. And that needs to be addressed.
Michelle, then. Next is Professor Michelle Valentine from Department of Modern and Classical Languages and Literatures.
Used to be foreign languages, but I think modern is fine. After those excellent remarks, I'm going to be a bit blunter, perhaps the French way, I don't know. Some time ago, in order to prepare students for the future, UM came out with what higher-ups call global initiative leadership, without any foreign language components, by the way. How less global can one be? 2 years and 1,400 fewer students later, what followed this initiative? 1, 3 budget cuts, last spring, this fall, and next spring, to the staggering amount of $10 million, more or less. 2, cuts of humanities classes. 3, the hypersizing of Main Hall by 20% with the creation of new positions at all levels. VP for dynamic learning, a marketing VP to help the VP for integrated communication from disintegrating, a marketing assistant to the marketing assistant of the integrated communication VP, a director of students retention, not the one you're thinking about, a director of faculty development without whom the faculty without a doubt would be underdeveloped, etc., etc. Just look at the bureaucratic chart of Main Hall. It seems that Main Hall has turned into a black hole sucking in money, hopes, measures, and countermeasures. What is spewed out in exchange? The motto thrive and the downgrading of the University of Montana into University of Montana. That is to say devolution and downsizing. Oh, I forgot. Also the embedding of Missoula College into UM with the probable future demise of the humanities. Under the tyranny of the business model at all costs, all that was solid melts into thin air. It's a quote from Marx, by the way. Especially the humanities, which are very vulnerable and are attacked everywhere. Strangely, private and elite colleges all across America defend their humanities program. Even this Asiatic model of academic efficiency and pragmatism, which is always quoted, the University of Singapore is now emphasizing a humanities curriculum. What is the benefit for UM of an overblown administrative head? What came out of this hydrocephalic bureaucratic hypergrowth? One, a freeze on faculty position replacement, as my colleague said, which resulted in the actual shrinking of the faculty body. And you can bet that professors who will retire in the near future will not be replaced. Two, another cut of classes to come in spring 2014. Three, the proliferation of what in Washington is called pork spending, without faculty input, national searches, or student need and demand. For instance, Crown of the Continent, Hamilton College, which should be an independent community college, etc., etc. Four, the creation by a few administrators of a 20 minutes mandatory harassment discrimination tutorial for all faculty and employees, wrapped in retaliatory measures such as list of names sent to the DOJ in Washington and accompanied by the creation of 2 expensive compliance officers. Enough is enough. We, faculty, students, employees, have to turn things around by 1, downsizing the unnecessary administrators or putting them back into the classroom. What's wrong with teaching? B, cutting the pork and the administration darlings, as Professor Kia named them in his Missoulian op-ed of November 14. Several hundreds of dollars could easily be saved. C, refuse class cutting. D, demanding a genuine leader with a vision. Remember the poem by Walt Whitman, "Oh Captain, oh my Captain, where are you?" A courageous and responsible UN Senate who wants to reclaim faculty governance, an active, responsible, and responsive faculty union, and a concerned and proactive SUN. That is to say, we have to ask for an actual democracy and refuse a dictatorial, nepotistic, plutocratic republic. A last word. I quote from an employee. "It has been a difficult time at UM as an employee. As a recent staff member, I know many staff who would agree with what you are doing, but we as staff have been told not to write or talk to press without approval from administration. I think many staff members have fear of retaliation, and that's why they never provide any input. We call on President Ekstrom to step down from the top of the tower of the Ivy League of the Rockies and walk amongst the rank and file to deal with this climate of intimidation by addressing it, redress it, and steer this ship safely towards the high open sea." Thank you.
Let's not forget about the microphone. Now we have our very good colleague and friend, Professor Doug Coffin, who comes from the science side of the campus, and of course, he has represented us very ably in Helena as well. Doug, please.
Thank you, Mehrdad. And I do sincerely want to thank the people who organized this event and the people who are here, because quite frankly, that's not just a platitude. Quite frankly, this is what we have to do. You might disagree with some of the means, but you can't disagree with the purpose. And the people who aren't here are the problem. And we saw, I absolutely support the rights of these people to do and say what they're doing. We saw it happen with the construction of the Missoula College. We had organizers there who were subject to substantial criticism. Some of it might be deserved, some not. That's democracy. It doesn't always look good. But in the end, their efforts and the a little bit delayed, maybe reluctant, but ultimately acceptance of the university to a process led to the right outcome. We got it right in the end. And I salute those people, and I salute these people for the same reason. And that reason here today is part of an agenda that's been going on for quite some time nationally. And that is what I call the devolution or degradation of higher education into a utilitarian process. In other words, we saw it in a New York Times article that was published, I think, a couple days ago, about how everything needs to be online, competency-based learning, which means basically if you can pass a test, you've learned. That the process doesn't matter, it's outcome-based, and that's what's important. This has been going on for some time here. There are a lot of people on our Board of Regents who bought into this 5 or 6 years ago, and they're still there. And some of those people are now in the university administration. And what we're seeing is that agenda landing on our campus. And that is an explosion of student loans that frankly undercut students, and the disempowerment and disenfranchisement of faculty as educators. The attitude among the utilitarians is anybody can teach. And we've heard it in K through 12, now we're seeing it in higher education. Of the 1.8 million FTEs in higher education as faculty across this nation, now more than 70% of them are non-tenured or part-time. That is the destruction of the infrastructure of the greatest higher education system in the history of the world. The United States had it. After World War I, our parents and grandparents built that, and they spent the tax money to do it, and they didn't complain. Now what we have are self-serving corporatists and bureaucrats who don't care. All they have is their own agenda, and it's the utilitarian agenda. In essence, in Montana, it's Bobcat Grizz. The agenda of the Board of Regents and some of the university administration is to establish one flagship university, and it's not here. It's Bobcat Grizz, and we're losing. And we need to turn that around. And the only way we're going to do that is for everyone to get involved. And that means Faculty Senate cannot sit on the sidelines any longer, as they have for several years as we've tried to press this agenda. And that means the union has to get involved again. Frankly, we parted ways in indifference over this very problem, myself and the union. I regretted that, but there's no choice. And we have to pull together, we have to uncircle the firing squad a little bit. And if it takes the leadership of these people to do it, I applaud them. So, the money, it is about money, and you can always follow the money. And MSU is spending their money to build a new business school and a new science building. We're building a new community college, or a 2-year school. Now, I'm not necessarily objecting to that ultimately, after getting what I felt were some important things right about following state laws so we wouldn't lose a lawsuit. I voted for it, and I don't regret that, and I did the right thing in the end, but it was tough. We need to do the same thing here. We need to make sure that the money gets spent on supporting students and empowering faculty, or it shouldn't be spent at all. And we need more money. I disagree with people who say we don't need more money from the legislature. We do. A Pell Grant's worth half now of what it was when I was in school 30 years ago. And we need a state-based financial aid system to supplement our Pell Grants. We have to support our students, but we have to support our faculty, and I'm almost done. We have to support our faculty because scholarship, the arts, sciences, Faculty leading their field is what makes for a great education. That's ultimately what was behind building the greatest university system in the world, is recognizing that when we go to conferences and we do experiments and we write music and books and so forth, that's what is transmitted to students as the cutting edge. And that's what makes us truly great educators. When we cut all that out, it's a downward spiral. That's what we're on. We need to pull together and we need to get this done.
Thank you very much, Doug. I was asked by several people before today, as we were organizing this, why we are doing this. Are we aiming to attack certain individuals or certain positions? That's not why we are here, at least not me. One of the reasons we are here is to break and get away from the atmosphere of fear that dominates this campus. There is fear. There's fear among staff. There's fear among faculty, especially non-tenured faculty, to speak. Because some of them, as some of my colleagues have talked about, they have been told that they should not talk about their feelings, about their sentiments, about their opinions. They should not talk to anybody on campus or off campus, especially to the media. That's why we are receiving email after email telling us what a good job we are doing and we should continue doing this, but they do not dare coming out. This atmosphere is a shame for a university. A university is a place for free exchange of ideas. Free speech, free expression is fundamental to a university. And this voice, the voice of the people here, the voice of those of you who speak, will not die, will not cease, will not come to an end by people labeling us a minority of vocal faculty members, a handful faculty members. Look, however many we are, we will not cease to speak and we will not cease to question and criticize the trend and the process that is unfolding on this campus. Rest assured about that. And no one, regardless of his or her position, is in any position to intimidate anyone among the faculty or staff or students to speak their minds. This is United States of America, last time I checked, not North Korea, right? So free speech and free expression will be the rule of the day, and that's why we will continue to speak about our feelings and opinions, regardless of who gets upset about it. Secondly, and this is very important, people ask me, why are you getting involved about this last spring? The reason I got involved was not because I decided to suddenly dislike somebody in Main Hall. I've been working with them for 10 years. I worked as an administrator myself. The reason we started doing this is my dear friend and colleague, Professor Samir Bitar, who just entered this room, right? Who has been teaching here for who was teaching here at least for 15 to 20 years, built a program single-handedly, came with tears on his face, telling me last April in spring that his courses had been zeroed out without his information. And how did he find out that his courses had disappeared? It was because students had told him that his courses had been zeroed out. He had gone to register. They had gone to register and they could not register for these courses, right? This, as some of my colleagues have said, this is not transparency. This is not democratic process. This is not only dictatorial. It is secretive. And then now the latest option that we are getting. The latest option is a memo or a letter to all tenure track faculty in the College of Arts and Sciences that we should actually appoint or suggest names of students, faculty members, and staff to organize a committee so they can suggest further and deeper cuts into the curriculum. Thank you. From one extreme of not letting anybody know to the cynicism of asking colleagues to cut the jobs of other colleagues. This is incredible, I have to tell you. And this is what we are dealing with. On the one hand, we were not told what they were going to do. Now we are asked to destroy each other's job. The third thing, and I will finish with this, we have to start thinking about how this university is run. Faculty governance should mean something. There is a union. There is a faculty senate. These are the instruments of faculty will and faculty voice. They have been more or less silent. They need to activate themselves, and they need to represent the faculty which is under the gun, especially those adjuncts, those lecturers who have given their lives to this university, and without them, there cannot be any curriculum. Their jobs cannot be cut. It's not only that economically and financially they will be hit, it will destroy the curriculum. It will destroy academic programs if we lose them. We need to stand with them. We need to defend their rights, and we need to defend their positions, not because it's a position. It is because what they teach is absolutely fundamental to the integrity and cohesiveness of this curriculum. Lastly, after this, after we have talked, our friend Louis Schneller, who has been amazing in terms of supporting us, from the Missoula Advocates, asked us to say a few words on behalf of community members. Louis, please come forward. And after that, it's open forum for all of you to express your opinions and where we need to go from here. We do not want to see a moment when those people in the main hall decide, no, we're not going to listen to you, we're not going to listen to you, we're not going to listen to you. We're going to do what we have decided to do. That's not going to work anymore. That will force this group and many more faculty to sit in their cars and travel to Helena. That's what we want to avoid. Further embarrassment for the university. Don't push us to appeal to the Board of Regents. Don't push us to appeal to the governor. We are moving in that direction, and the knife has come to the bone. And this group and many faculty will not accept this situation unless the administration starts by cutting itself first and by addressing the highly bloated administration in Main Hall first before they come to the curriculum and the course offerings of this university. Thank you very much, Louis Schneller.
Thank you, Mehrdad. How about a round of applause for these tremendously courageous and brave individuals and faculty members of your university. But it's our university. It's a plural term. It belongs to us. It doesn't belong strictly to Main Hall. I come here simply at the request of others like Mehrdad, because I was involved in the campaign to save open space and the golf course from the destruction that was inevitable. It was called a done deal. You've probably heard that term before. Well, it's not such a done deal anymore. I think that land has been preserved for a while, but we have our powder dry because we know there's no end to this story in sight. But one of the most effective things we did, and this is what I want to present to all of you, one of the most effective things we did, we made a campaign of public awareness through signs that were put, yard signs that were put in yards all over this town. Have any of you ever saw those signs? Save the golf course, save open space, save hang gliding, save the cross-country meets that are held there several times during the year. Many, many activities out there. It's a community resource. The University of Montana is a community resource, not only for Missoula, but for the full state of Montana. I'm a native Montanan out of Butte. I graduated from the university here in 1967 with a BA in liberal arts, major in English, raised 4 children, all of whom received college degrees. There's 7 degrees between my 4 children. I graduated from RLTC, went into the service, and came back here and earned a master's degree in guidance and counseling. I've been very active almost all of my life, and at the age of 70, I'm just now getting started. I'm a retired individual, but I haven't retired from what's right and proper. These gentlemen, these ladies and gentlemen that you've heard today are right and proper. So I've got a list here, and I would like all of you who would be so eager and motivated to participate in this campaign. And some of these slogans, and I hope some of you can come up with some of the slogans for this sign campaign. Some of them are going to read something like, UM faculty, students, friends, unite. That theme has been very, very solidly echoed here today. Cut university administration pork. Stop attacks on curriculum. stop the fear and intimidation aimed at eliminating free speech by faculty and employees. This is something I coordinated to save the golf course, and I'm willing to do this again with this university faculty and this great project, this great effort that's going to be taking place. It's going to be a little bit of a rough road for a lot of us, but I think all of us are strong enough and motivated enough to engage in this and see it to the end. And it will be victorious. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody want to get on that sign list? I've got a piece of paper and pencil up here for you.
Now it is your turn to stand up and speak. If you have any opinion, the microphone is here. Professor Samir Bitti.
Thank you. Since my name was brought up, I feel obliged to say a few words. After all, I love and cherish my work and the University of Montana. So give me a few minutes of your time, please. Assalamu alaikum, ayyuha sayyidat wa sada. Shalom, habirin wa habirot. Peace be upon you, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Thank you for coming out and showing your support. My name is Samir Bittar. I teach Arabic language and cultures, and I mentor and advise 3 student groups on campus. I came to Big Sky Country at age 16 as a freshman in college. I received my higher education here in Montana. My wife and children were born and raised in Montana, and all of us attended, love, and cherish the University of Montana. I am a Montana educator. Montana educated, and very proud of it. And that's why I'm here talking to you today. I joined the UM in 1999 in hopes of promoting their mission of excellence through continuing dedication to academics and service. The key word here is academic, and I'm willing to put my service profile against anyone in the nation. I'm in my 16th year at the UM. I am the bricklayer and founder of the Arabic Language and Cultures program at the UM and in Montana at large. Here I have to thank the students. First and foremost, it is due to their interest, enrollment, dedication, research, hard work, and the list goes on, that we have successful academic programs at the University of Montana. And we all collectively have to work together to preserve our academic offerings in liberal arts and sciences and across the curricula. Kindly wage dialogue to safekeep our valuable curriculum and work of love by all of us. We wish to ensure the best academic experience for our students today and for all the future generation of students who matriculate to the University of Montana. And let me tell you, they come from everywhere on the globe. For 7 years, I was the Arabic department. I established every class the university offers in Arabic. I very clearly remember my first beginning class in fall of '99. They came from several countries around the world, from all over the US continent, and most of all, from little towns in Montana, like Trigo and Tuda and Lavina and Shodo and Livingston and Glendive. I keep in touch with many of my students who are now in the field, equipped with the quality education they acquired with us, coupled with an educational experience and knowledge base, enabling them to navigate life successfully. I encourage you all to speak your mind with motivation. I kindly ask you to engage the current process. Invoke shared governance by participating. Democracy is an activity. If we do not participate, it does not work. Most of all, know that you can make a difference. Get involved, have purpose and direction. Let us all dream of a bright future for all at the UM. This is one of my quotes. Teamwork makes the dream work. So let's come together as a team. Last spring, I stood on the Oval and spoke to this subject, and here I am back again. And You know, this is the first year, this is 16th year, and this is the first year that I have less students in my first year Arabic due to the ill-informed and basically uninformed decisions that were taken in the spring to zero first year Arabic. You know, I'm not sure, I'm really baffled. It took us 15 years, a lot of work by many people, students, staff, faculty, community members, to build the program. And in one ill-informed decision, they basically are going to take out the whole program. First year is a feeder class, okay? You cut the numbers in half, it's a matter of numbers. I mean, if they're dealing with numbers, I know numbers. Teaching is my third and choice career. I've been a partner in an engineering firm. I owned my own business for 14 years. I can understand budgets and numbers, okay? However, I don't understand how anyone, and this is the question that we need the administration to answer, is how do you attack a fully enrolled, successful program and allow me to say one of the most highly employable minors on this campus? I've been in Montana for 39 years. I know institutions of higher education. I've never read about an institution of higher education taking out a prestigious program. For 5 years, I ran the Montana Arabic Summer Institute with Startup, which is a federal program. And every year, I go to 2 conferences, and everywhere I went, everybody was talking about University of Montana, Arabic at the University of Montana, the Central and Southwest Asian program at the University of Montana as prestigious programs. So you can ask the question I'm asking. What is your cogent argument for attacking successful programs? Thank you.
Samir, if you can give me the mic.
Thank you very much. I have asked Brian to bring the microphone to you. If you raise your hand, he will come to you with the microphone so you can speak up. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eamon Armstead, and I'm an ASUM senator here at the University of Montana. The first thing I'd like to say is that I'm glad so many people here. It obviously means many people are concerned about UM as an institution, community members, faculty, and students. I would just caution that before a confrontational tone is struck, if the faculty wants students to get behind proposals to save classes, students need something to stand behind. We need statistics that say this, research that says this, X and X. For example, how many positions in the administration are we proposing not be filled? What is the exact dollar amount of those positions? Do they add up to $6 million? My question is, and I guess my question is, even if we cut some of the administrative pork, so to speak, will that add up to $6 million? In some way, at least from my perspective, it does seem like classes are going to have to be cut. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that for students to get behind proposals, we need statistics, evidence really that we feel like we can firmly stand on, because for many of us, the administration has been willing partners in a lot of the projects we're attempting to implement. And the Missoula College, though there was some controversy over the location, as students, we're just getting behind the building. There's over 2,500 students in a building for 700 students. And the tone that has been struck by some community members as insinuating that there's this intrinsic difference between students of the Missoula College and students at the University of Montana, as well-meaning as it sounds, it strikes a lot of these students as sort of dividing lower class and upper class, and it really offends a lot of the students of Missoula College. I personally know many students that went to Missoula College and then went on to attend classes at the Mountain campus. So I'm saying that given the unique political situation that students occupy on campus, we can't be fired. We're the consumers of the education. We are able to take a stand, but if you really want students to get behind anything, we need to strike more of a tone of unity. And I do think there's a lot to be done to increase relations between faculty and students. And that has to come from both ends. From day one, the administration has always sent people to ASUM almost on a weekly basis to our meetings. For better or worse, they've consistently reached out to us. And it's not so much that students are, for the administration, against faculty, et cetera, et cetera. It's that this relationship with the administration already existed, and we hear that side of the story because that's who we hear. Not because we're biased in any way, but because they have consistently reached out to us more often. So I would encourage everybody here to try to come together and, form these bonds of communication that seem to have been lacking, especially given the events of last year. And if anybody has anything else to add on to that, I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah. Michelle, yeah, let's go around. You want to
Can
comment?
I very quickly answer? I don't need a mic. It's not a question of, be careful there, they are very smart. It's not a question of upper class, lower class, although they would like, remember, they don't have a class analysis. Let's not forget that, okay? But they use this equalitarian appearance that Montanans are very sensitive to, and for good reason. The problem is to separate. There's two different agendas. You have education through skills to learn a job. But it's great. We need job. We need formation. We need skill education. And there is the four-year institution which delivers critical thinking, theory, another type of knowledge. And they both have a room, of course. The problem is that to use the Missoula College to outsource the University of Montana, I wrote about that. It is very insidious, you see. So you have sometimes appearance is dangerous. You have to sometimes turn things around. And in the paper this morning, what did President Armstrong say? This big college will be built with 4 stories, will be like the tower that you will see from I-90. Wait a minute. University of Montana cannot be reduced to Missoula College. By the same token, Missoula College cannot be reduced to University of Montana. It's two different things. They should be independent. And there should be bridges in between. Now, there are a list of people who could be cut. I wouldn't say it will amount to $6 million, but you could easily, and it's there, to look at the organizational bureaucratic chart of the UN, you could cut $1 billion. As for the future, it's a question of politics and lobbying with Helena. I don't know if it's satisfying, but...
I'm hoping there's some more people out here that want to speak.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the giant step, and a very brave giant step, to initiate this forum. It's sad that it has come to this. Everybody who comes from this university, including myself, who attended here many years ago, should come out of here wanting to give something back. And it seems like so many hard feelings have been created for one reason or another that one has to question what they really want to give back, but they want this to be an excellent institution. I have a comment to say regarding ASUM being reached out to by the administration. The administration reaches out to ASUM, and that's why we hear them, and I believe that's true. It's unfortunate that too many people are afraid to speak up and afraid to step forward because of the fear that was mentioned, and it's very real. And so if you want to comment on this, I know that having been involved in city government and stuff, that people who work in administrations, even if they don't disagree, they're not going to speak out, and it's due to fear. We watched this whole biomass woody fuel thing just get big and explode because everybody went along with team think. They had to succumb to the team think, and I think that this is what's going to be very, very detrimental, and if you want to comment on it. Thank you.
Doug, you want to comment? Doug wants to comment.
I certainly agree with Amy's comments and Renee's comments. Universities have traditionally been a place for open debate, and we need that. And I'm hoping that some more people will participate as soon as I get the microphone up, which will be very soon. And I do disagree with one thing Eamon said, and that is that we need to keep cutting. That's the culture that we have to change. Quite frankly, as a legislator, I was disappointed in the university community at large that we didn't have more support and enthusiasm. Several times we had bills come up for higher education, and there was almost nobody there to support them. I work with a Montana conservation community, and we have a room full of supporters supporting legislation in favor of maintaining Montana as the last best place. We need to generate that kind of energy for higher education. And frankly, the students were our best proponents. Most of the people who testified in favor of higher education bills were the students. And I was grateful to have them there.
Thank you.
But we need faculty to step up. We need our administrators to step up. Some of those bills for higher education, the administration stood on the sidelines. We can't have that. Okay? So I agree with Renee. We need more community support, and we need to work in an environment where there's no fear of retaliation. And that needs to end. So.
My name is Carol Batchko. I'm a university graduate. I started out at Flathead Valley Community College, got an academic scholarship to come to the University of Montana as an old returning student, a single mom with 3 children. I proudly graduated from this university, and I was so saddened by Professor Kia's letter this morning in the Missoulian that I had to come as a citizen of this community and as a graduate of this institution and stand for what these people are representing. One thing I learned as a student at the university is freedom of speech, and to be able to express our thoughts, and to be able to support when we see something so horrific happening at our university. I'm usually a very quiet person. I don't make a public stand. But my youngest son taught me, after he was a student of Professor Kia's, that there are moments in life where you have to take a stand. And today is one of those moments for me. After I've heard what these professors have shared with us, and what's happening to our university, to our humanity, to our understanding of each other, to what our students here, our children of the future, my grandson, who wants to come to the University of Montana after taking a course here in the summer, that we have a responsibility as citizens of this community, all of us, to educate ourselves about the facts, about what those percentages are. You as a student have that responsibility to do that for yourself. That's what learning is. Once you have that knowledge, then you have power. I feel so privileged to be able to stand here in support of these incredible people who are educating our future citizens and educating me through a letter this morning that moved me so deeply to come here and to be a representative of the community, that I will stand. And my question to all of you is, how can I help?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to thank Eamon for asking for more facts and statistics and research, but the people that provide that are the people who are paid to do that work, and that is the administration. They are the ones, it is their job to balance the budget. And for them to cynically say that $3 million will be cut this fall from other sources, and then all the remaining $3 million will be cut in the spring from academics, is just the height of cynicism. They should be doing their job to balance the budget without pushing the pain on the students and the faculty.
I was going to give you a point, a little piece of information of irony. This morning, I attended the executive lecture series at 10 o'clock. How many of you were there? Anyone? Okay. I guess I'd ask another question. Are you familiar with Boeing? A phenomenal, innovative, creative firm that, you know, we pay attention to that. You can't buy stock now in that company because it's just gone off the charts. The topic was leadership. At the very end, and he outlines, you know, every book I own on leadership and then some. You could see where he read and dropped into it, but he put it from an experiential basis. And I asked someone on the outside as we discussed, you know, there's discussions after a lecture that are just as meaningful almost. And I said, what was your takeaway from that? And he said, we must learn from our loss. Our company and the culture of our company goes back to the core values of what we believe. And the underpinnings of the culture of our company lies within ethics and transparency. When we teach our young people how to read, then we give them a great gift of knowledge and they can go after it. One of the closing remarks also in his talk said, a student got up and asked, what is it we need to know to be hireable? What do you expect of your employees? Good question. His response was, a broad education in liberal arts, as well as the specificity and being very knowledgeable. And we have to go back and retrain them, but they need to write and to speak and know about global enterprise. So I just say, the very wonderful administration that offers us that lecture series provides us with information from the best of the best. It needs to look hard at the message, and so do we. And fight for it. I'm trying to find out the email for the Director of Finance. I took higher education finance at a couple institutions. I want to give them some ideas. I'm about solutions. Aren't we all about solutions? This is a gnarly problem, and thank you for letting me present some thoughts. And I compliment your energy in educating our young people.
Brian? Chris Anderson.
My name's Chris Anderson. I'm not giving up, but I came in today for this because I think it's important. One of the basic questions we need to ask ourselves in terms of the direction that the university seems to be going is whether we want an education that's based on substance or an education that's based on ceremony. It seems to me that the direction the administration wants to go is in the direction of ceremony rather than substance. And I don't care how many ceremonies there are, inaugurations and things like that. Why does a president of a university have a cabinet? Has anybody thought about that? I mean, this is just a means of elevating the administrative discourse and inflating itself with non-importance. And it seems to me that what we need to do is get back to the substance of what we do in the classroom. And if they're going to be cutting classes on us, that's cutting substance from everyone's education.
Brian, if you can put it here. Thank you. We have come to the end of this session. Because you asked, and that's a great question, I want to let you know what some of our follow-up actions are. First of all, as I mentioned, this is just the beginning. We started this process in April in response to the needs of some of our colleagues, especially those who are called adjuncts or visiting or lecturers or however you call them. But since more cuts are coming, we will be here to respond. And some of the actions that will take place here will come into a calendar. But the first action will be a white paper. The white paper will have the list of all bureaucratic salaries that have been added in the last 2 years. For you to understand how inflated this bureaucracy is, right, and how bloated it is, and compare it then with the academic positions that have been filled. I think Gigi hit it on the nail. We have been in a process of cuts and retrenchment because all the positions that have not been filled and should have been filled, because these are all successful programs with full enrollment, that is a cut. That is a form of cut. The administration does not call it a cut. And that white paper will call for transparency and this stopping of this language of playing shell games, beautiful mottos, branding, so on. Thank you very much. We are thriving, if you allow us to thrive, right? We have been thriving. I came here 25 years ago and I created a program. And a guy who came a year ago and 2 years ago has never talked to me about what I have done. How many tens of thousands of students I and my colleagues and the colleagues here have taught. What kind of programs we have created. We have first-rate programs. We have a Japanese program which is the example of how you create a program. We have programs across the field, for example, in languages, in cultures, in humanities, in social sciences. The numbers that we teach is staggering, right? We have been thriving. We are not in need of somebody to arrive and tell us we need to thrive, right? And then how much do we pay for that branding? I'm not sure. We are looking at all the figures, right? Associate provost for this, dean of this, associate dean, assistant dean for this. Wow. Really? After losing 1,200 students, we are just adding still more bureaucratic and administrative positions. And we have the goal to come to the most vulnerable individuals in our staff, which means the staff and the faculty at this university, and cut their jobs when we are adding 100,000+ jobs in main hall, week after week, month after month, year after year. That white paper will address it, and that white paper will be shared with more than people than just here. It's going to be a community, it's going to be a statewide sort of approach to this. And we need to go away from Missoula. These op-ed pieces that you have been reading, they need to be published in Helena. They need to be published in Great Falls. They need to be seen and read by folks who are in the decision-making process. And this is the time for us to really educate people across the state what this university has been going through. And here, that's why we are here. So that white paper is part of this process. The second thing, we will have educational, informational meetings about updates in terms of where the budget is going. Because this is just the beginning. $3 million this semester, $3 million next semester. Where are we going, right? And who is making these decisions? Few people who think they're brains, who just arrived, some of them 2 years ago, 3 years ago, some of them 4 years ago. I've been here for 25 years. I have never been asked by a single administrator what we think, right? And it's about time that we don't talk about democracy and transparency, that we practice democracy, transparency, and inclusiveness. So with that, what I will ask Brian here is to circulate a piece of paper. If you could add your emails, if you want to be informed about our next events, and we will go from there. Thank you very much again for joining us.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate it. It was excellent, as always.